Let's be real for a second. Whether we like to admit it or not, money is the biggest reality of our modern world. Pink Floyd famously sang, "Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash," and honestly, they kind of hit the nail on the head. For the longest time, money was labeled the root of all evil. But let's be honest with ourselves, having it is an undeniable blessing. There's absolutely zero need to feel guilty for wanting to earn it or build wealth. But in all that hustle, have we ever actually stopped to ask where it came from? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the wild history of currency based on Jacob Goldstein's fantastic book, Money, the True Story of a Made-Up Thing. We all love earning and spending cash, but very few of us actually know its backstory. We just kind of tend to think of money as this natural force, right? Like gravity or the weather. But the reality is actually so much more interesting. Money is a relatively recent human invention. It's essentially a piece of technology, a tool we literally made up to solve a very specific set of problems.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the barter system flaw. To figure out why money was even invented in the first place, we have to travel thousands of years back to the barter system. You know the drill. You trade what you have for what you need. But barter had this crippling, fatal flaw which economists call the double coincidence of wants. Basically, for any transaction to work, two people must have exactly what the other person requires at the exact same time.
Think about it like this. If I have a kilogram of sugar, but I desperately need a kilogram of milk, I can't just go to anyone. I have to wander around and find a very specific person, someone who not only has milk to spare, but also actively wants my sugar in return. If the milk guy wants wheat instead of sugar, well, the deal is completely dead. As human societies grew, this friction became, frankly, a massive headache. The barter system desperately needed a major tech update. Moving right along. Section 2, Coins to Paper Revolution. That much-needed update? It came in the form of coins. Now, while it's super common to hear that the Greeks were the first to use coins, right around the exact same time, China began utilizing their own system. These early Chinese coins were made of bronze and had a distinct hole right in the middle. It was actually a brilliant design, allowing citizens to string the coins together, kind of like Bramah beads. But as trade kept expanding, carrying heavy strings of metal everywhere you went quickly became a logistical nightmare.
And things reached absolute peak absurdity in the Sichuan province of China. Because of a severe shortage of bronze, they were forced to start minting coins out of iron instead. Iron is heavy, and its value was incredibly low. To buy something as basic and essential as salt, you had to lug around 1.5 pounds of iron coins. I mean, just imagine carrying literal gym weights to the grocery store today just to buy your basic pantry staples. It was wild, and it simply didn't make sense anymore.
This literal dead weight forced the next great leap in financial tech. In the year 995 AD, a highly intelligent merchant in China came up with a brilliant workaround. Instead of dealing with the heavy iron, he took those coins for storage and issued fancy paper receipts in return. It was a light bulb moment. People quickly realized, hey, we could just trade these paper receipts directly to buy goods. The idea spread like wildfire, completely revolutionizing trade. Later, Mongol rulers, specifically Kublai Khan, heavily backed this paper money, going so far as to make bronze coins totally illegal. But, progress isn't always a straight line. By the 1300s, the Ming Dynasty ruler Hongwu, who was kind of a man stuck in the past, banned paper money entirely and forced a reversion back to heavy coins, which arguably set the Chinese economy back hundreds of years.
Let's move on and see how this builds. Section 3, Goldsmiths to Modern Banking.
Jumping ahead to Europe during the 16th century's Renaissance, people really started using their intellect to radically change their financial reality, and they kind of accidentally invented modern banking along the way. Citizens started storing their physical gold in the super secure vaults of local goldsmiths, and in exchange, they got a paper receipt. Slowly but surely, these goldsmiths realized they could actually loan out this paper money to others who needed capital and charge interest on it. Suddenly, you didn't need physical gold to get a loan, you just borrowed the paper and paid it back with interest later. The entire system of modern banking is built directly on this exact concept.
Which brings us to one of the most unbelievable characters in the entire history of money, John Law. I mean, the guy sounds like a movie character, but he was absolutely real. Law was a Scottish economist who actually proposed the creation of a state bank in Scotland, but was completely ignored. Oh, and he was also convicted of murder after a duel, literally broke out of prison, and spent a decade just running around France and the Netherlands. During that crazy time, he mastered the concepts of statistics and probability and used them to make an absolute fortune gambling.
But Law didn't just gamble. He actually applied those mathematical principles to finance. He's credited with helping establish modern banks and the stock market in France. His financial systems allowed so many regular, everyday people to accumulate immense wealth through shares and stocks that a brand new word had to be invented and added to the dictionary just to describe them. That word? Millionaire. Which leads us to Section 4, the gold standard era. Thanks to wildcards like John Law, banks eventually formalized their systems by pegging paper currency directly to physical gold reserves, basically tying a nation's prosperity to the gold sitting in its vaults.
So, what does this all mean for us today? Section 5, the future of currency.
The crucial point here is that money is not static. It evolved from barter, to bronze, to paper receipts, to global banking standards. And according to Jacob Goldstein, this evolution is far from over. He outlines a few massive possibilities for our immediate future. First up, the total disappearance of physical cash. Honestly, we are already seeing this happen rapidly in the West, where digital payments totally dominate. Second, the potential collapse of traditional banks altogether. Banks face a ton of criticism today for destroying wealth and causing crises, so it's entirely possible the institutions we've relied on since the 1600s could just vanish. And third, the massive void left by cash and banks could be filled entirely by cryptocurrency, a decentralized, purely digital form of wealth that you can track instantly right there on your phone.
From heavy iron coins in ancient China to invisible digital tokens floating in the cloud, money has always just been a tool. It's a shared illusion we all just agree to believe in to make our society function. If money truly is a gas, as Pink Floyd sang, it is constantly changing its state. So, as this technology continues to rapidly evolve right before our eyes, I'll leave you with this to ponder. When physical paper and metal completely disappear, what will the wealth in your wallet look like tomorrow?